Cenk is there thinking that these people are going to work with him in some way. This is what's bothersome, because you know that MAGA, they won't even work with the members of their own party, bro. They won't. They hate their own party. The minute somebody disobeys Trump or the most extreme fringe, they want to overthrow him. They're not going to work with Cenk. He's trying to act like populism is the thing that unites these guys, but like, come on,
gone wrong in the Democratic Party. It's the same thing that went wrong in the Republican Party, but I do have to give you guys credit for a revolution well done.
Jesus, dude. He gave MAGA and racist Charlie Kirk credit for a revolution well done in like strong arming and taking over the Republican Party, bro. Holy shit, dude. Jesus.
And what I mean by that is not a revolution against the Democratic Party or the left or the country, but a revolution against the establishment. So,
dude, he says a revolution against the establishment. See, I'm sorry, guys, but I laugh at that, because when you think about it, they keep trying to say that this guy is not the establishment. The guy in the gold penthouse who got $500 million from 2 billionaires, the richest man in the world, is literally giving him an endless supply of money, threatening to primary everyone. The entire Congress, while he wasn't even president, they were killing their own bills to appease this man and trying to act like he's not the establishment. The entire Republican political establishment right now is Donald Trump. He literally is the whole party, bro. He just filled his cabinet with like 14 billionaires. If you have 14 billionaires in the room with you, you're the establishment, motherfucker. There's no billionaires out there that are rebels. They are the fucking establishment, dude. His daughter-in-law was running the RNC. It's like, my God, dude, they're so firmly entrenched. It doesn't get any more establishment than Donald Trump.
I knew you guys were
Cenk
for
is
real
like,
in fighting against the establishment when I started going on right-wing shows and I would say something negative about Mitch McConnell. And when I did that in the past, what I would get back is, oh, no, Mitch McConnell's great. Pelosi's terrible, but Mitch McConnell's great.
Let's do that here. What do you guys think of Mitch McConnell?
See, that's it. That's all Cenk needs. He's like, oh, you guys hate Mitch McConnell like I do, so therefore I love you guys. He's like, I'm gonna forget that you're racist and you're taking away civil rights and you want to eradicate trans people and you don't have a health care plan after 10 years and you don't have any good policy. You got no fucking policy, but you hate Mitch McConnell. So therefore, I'm going to be your buddy. What? Dude, what in sweet hell? This is one of the gnarliest, degenerate moves I have seen from a progressive ever in history. Because what we're about to witness is Cenk, first off, run this whole line about, oh, we can disagree and have a beer, is what he says. Which, you know, if we were just arguing about financial policy like tax rates, that would be one thing. Maybe you would have an argument and then you go have a beer. But when you have one side where the president says on day one, I'm going to eradicate trans people, or he says, I'm going to use your taxpayer money to create a deportation force, and we're going to build some concentration camps. We're going to go look for migrants to put in those camps. When you have one group that is saying, we're going to start taking away some of the women's rights, but maybe not everywhere, just in a whole bunch of states. So women no longer have the same rights in every state. You're not allowed to have an opinion about those things. You're not. I mean, transgender people do exist. There's no argument about them not existing or you wanting them to go away because you're scared of them. They exist. They're real. They've been here longer than your fucking stupid religion. And we have documented evidence of that. It's true. You want to like take a group of people and declare them dangerous and improper. And no, we're not going to have a conversation about that. You're not allowed to say, oh, this certain group of people don't get to have constitutional rights because our religion makes it so we don't like them. It's like, fuck you, boss. And we're not having a beer after that. And in fact, no, that's bigotry. That's where it gets really weird. Cenk is going to sit here and he's going to talk about how welcoming MAGA are. And he's going to talk about how open-minded they are. And how, oh, he likes them because they hate Mitch McConnell. But he's willing to ignore Charlie Kirk's rampant racism. This guy, Charlie Kirk, every time he sees a black pilot, he's calling them a DEI pilot. Every time he sees a black person in power, he's like thinking they didn't deserve it, that it was given to them. He's super anti-Semitic. Everything about Charlie Kirk is like straight up degeneracy. Dude, it's crazy. And Cenk is up there pretending like all of this is okay. He's not bothered by it. Come on.
So, look, I propose simple rules, the 3 rules of the internet. Rule number 1, when we disagree, we fight. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Now, rule number 2 is afterwards, we must have a beer together.
Dude, afterwards, there's Cenk's rule. We must have a beer together, guys. That's Cenk's rule. We can fight. Oh, we disagree. We'll fight. Adolf, we're going to fight now because I don't like the way you're treating those Jewish people. But I disagree, Adolf. But now that we've talked about it and you know I disagree, let's go have a beer there, buddy. Dude, what the is he talking about? You got to go have a beer. No, after the trans people get done fighting with them, they're not getting their fucking hormones afterwards. They're not going to be able to go see a fucking therapist, boss. They're going to be done. They're going to have their gender designation ripped away. They're going to get fired from their goddamn jobs. Maybe they end up in jail. If somebody's got a trans kid, the kid's going to commit suicide because they can't get any gender affirming care. And Cenk's like, oh yeah, after you get their kids to kill themselves, let's go have a beer. Or if they're Hispanic, they're going to end up in a fucking work camp in Texas. Oh yeah, I disagree with you sending people to concentration camps, but now that I've registered my disagreement, let's go have a beer. Yeah, that's what a rich motherfucker who's immune to all the pain that those MAGA motherfuckers are causing might want to go have a beer after you politely disagree. Dude, there's real fucking people. There's real women bleeding out in the fucking parking lot, bro. And what, are you going to watch them die and then go drink a beer? Cenk, you piece of shit. Like, come on, bro. Jesus.
For the left, we have too much division. We almost never unify. I don't mean with the right. I mean internally.
Yeah, Cenk, why don't you unify? You see how he says with the left, we never unify, but he doesn't seem to want to acknowledge the fact that part of the reason why the left has not unified is because of him? Can we at least admit that? These guys don't want respectful disagreements. Like, what did Donald Trump say? He said he was going to eradicate trans people on day 1, right? They don't even acknowledge transgender people exist. Like, come on, bro. They are hardcore anti-everything, boss. What an idiot, bro.
So I'm not sure how you'll feel about this, but there is a not a consensus. There is a belief with some people like Seth Moulton and others that some of the embrace of what we would call wokeism or whatever was a reason why Democrats...
Wokeism. They're saying wokeism is why Democrats lost. This is what he's going into. He's going into transgender rights here. He's going to encourage Cenk to throw trans people under the bus.
Had a less than desirable election outcome. Do you subscribe to that belief? How do you interpret that when some people say we need to kind of shed away some of the more new elements of the cultural implications of politics outside of economics, like the Seth Moulton belief that where he says the trans stuff hurt us?
You see how he wouldn't even really say, like they don't want to openly say it. At the very end, he said the trans stuff hurt us. The trans stuff. We're talking about real human beings transgender individuals, transgender men and women who are alive and breathing and struggling to get through the day like the rest of us. But to them, it's trans stuff. The trans stuff hurt us. Like, can you imagine 1950 where some guys are saying, yeah, the black stuff hurts us? I mean, right? The black stuff. Or, man, the woman stuff is really hurting us. Or, you know, the Mexican stuff is hurting us. But it's like, dude, it's not trans stuff. They cannot humanize. Even I would be calling him out. Look at what you just said there. You realize, like, you're standing here, Charlie, you are Charlie Kirk, you're a human being. I find you despicable and nasty, but I still feel like you deserve health care, education, to be able to have a job. Nobody's obsessing about your genitals. You can fuck whomever you want. You can get married to whomever you want. You can dress in men or women's clothes. I don't fucking care. But you're a human being. You deserve the exact same rights that I do. And I want you to have access to all the rights that I have. They don't do that for the people that they despise. To them, it's the trans stuff. They won't even see them as actual human beings. Dude, that's not a disagreement right there. That's not an opinion. You can't actually have a genuine, authentic conversation with a person like that, you know, sees transgender people and their struggles and their lives and their feelings and their hurts and their desires as just trans stuff. That's a problem. Now watch what Cenk does here, because dude, he just sells his own soul right here.
My point to my left-wing allies is, am I going to emphasize and insist and demand on my gun control policies when we're in the middle of a national election? No, because I know those are not winning issues at this point. I've got more work to do to convince the American people before we get there. So if on trans issues or any other, or crime issues, etc., if you really believe in the most far left positions, as I do on gun control, for example, that's okay. But you've got to know what to emphasize and what not to emphasize.
See, the irony here is the Democrats did not emphasize transgender rights at all in this election. They didn't even speak to them. The only mention of transgender people in this whole election was Donald Trump's $100 million of ads saying that Kamala Harris was all about the they, them. I was actually upset that the Democrats didn't answer back to that shit. But look what he's saying, though. He's saying that, oh, dude, if gun control polls unpopularly, we're not going to say anything about it to win the election. But like, dude, the trans stuff that you talked about is human beings' civil fucking rights. It's not trans stuff. Dude, if transgender people don't have civil rights, none of us have civil rights, you fucking pieces of shit. If black people don't have civil rights, none of us have civil rights. If women don't have civil rights, none of us have civil rights. But the fact that he's equating the trans stuff with, oh, if it's unpopular, don't talk about it. Well, what happens if they want segregation back? You're just not going to talk about it until you're sitting at a whites-only lunch counter? You fucking dumbass? Like, what is he even saying right here?
And so if you say, no, I'm going to die on every extreme hill, well, you will. Electorally, politically, you will die on that hill. And then you...
Dude, the Democrats weren't even on the hill with trans people in this election. They kind of abandoned them, really.
Lose on all of your issues, because it's sometimes a binary game. Certainly elections are. So you got to know what to convince the American people of and what to hold your ground on. And the number one thing to hold your ground on is constitutional rights. So I'm going to do some...
Like the Second Amendment.
Dude, look at that. Dude, you see that? He comes around to saying he's going to hold his ground on the constitutional rights, which then what does that mean? Is he refuting all the stuff he just talked about? And then Charlie Kirk burns him with the Second Amendment, and then they like high five or low five each other, whatever. Dude, what are they doing, bro? Like, look at him, bro. Like, man. What a pig, bro. Jesus.
So, no, I know. So, guys, look at that. We totally disagree on that issue, but we just...
You were asking for that one. I'm sorry.
No problem. No, but look, but that was an important moment, because we totally disagree on that issue, but we just shook hands anyway.
Look at that. Yeah, he says we disagree on that issue, but we shook hands anyway. But Cenk doesn't seem to realize that when you disagree on somebody being able to exist, it's pretty hard to shake hands after that. If you're a transgender person and the other side's trying to eradicate you, after they attempt to eradicate you, you don't shake their hand. If somebody tries to eradicate you and you're like high-fiving them afterwards, you need to get your head checked, bro.
And you know what we'll do afterwards? We'll have a beer.
We'll have a beer.
When you disagree on something and then you fight about it and then you have a beer afterwards, that's called America.
Yeah. Okay, Cenk. So back in 1950s, when they disagreed about black people having civil rights, being able to, you know, sit at a table with you in a restaurant, being able to use the bathroom with you, you were just going to argue with them about it a little bit and then go have a beer. No, they weren't going to have a beer with the black people, Cenk. They were fucking lynching them. You stupid bro. And in a year from now, they're not going to be having a beer with the undocumented people while they discuss a path to citizenship. They're going to be locking them up in a fucking concentration camp in Texas. Bro, what is he talking about? What an ass kisser, dude.
So let me see if I can get agreement. And this, I don't know which way this is going to go. Okay. So when we talk about trans issues in terms of sports, I know we have massive disagreements. Okay. And on one of those issues, professional sports, I agree with you guys. On high school sports, I don't. We'll go get into a bloody battle on that. Okay. But I want to ask you guys something.
Here we go.
Do you believe that trans Americans...
Dude, did you see that they were booing? He had to stop the crowd from booing but now watch this question, because he has the simplest thing here about trans people deserving just basic civil rights. Watch this.
But I want to ask you guys something. Do you believe that trans Americans should have the same constitutional rights as all Americans to employment, health care, and housing? Constitutional rights.
Do you want me to translate?
Did you see that? Nobody was fucking cheering there, but now Charlie's going to avoid the question. Watch this. Charlie just avoids the question.
Do you want me to translate? Well, there is no constitutional right to housing.
Okay, so I hear you. What I got out of that, guys...
I'm just trying to be the interpreter.
Yeah. No, there was a lot of applause and there was some consternation, right? I'll take it. It's a start.
You see that? Think about that, guys. Right there. What just happened is he asked them, do you believe transgender people just deserve to have the same constitutional rights as everybody? To be able to work and live and have housing? And a whole bunch of people were booing. Charlie just dodged the question by saying there's no constitutional right to housing. All right, whatever, off. But you get the point. The constitutional right is you being able to go and apply for an apartment and them not telling every transgender person, sorry, they're all booked. That's what it is. It's the constitutional right to not have them trump you like what Trump did in the 70s. So he says, do trans people deserve basic constitutional rights to be able to get a job and not get turned away because they're trans, to be able to rent an apartment and not get turned away because they're trans, to be able to exist with the same rights as everybody? And the people there boo him. Charlie Kirk tries to dodge the question because they don't want to answer it, because we know what their answer is. Their answer is no. They want trans people to have zero constitutional rights. And what does this piece of say? He's like, oh, I heard a couple people clapping and I can live with that. Well, yeah, Cenk, when you're a rich male that is not going to be affected by the fact that they're eradicating all the trans people, yeah, you can live with that. You can, but the fucking trans people can't. And the fact that you can live with knowing that these guys, like you can't read the room, you don't know what they're telling you, you don't know that Charlie changing the question like that is giving you the fucking answer, that you know goddamn well these people want to eradicate transgender people. They want to force them to not be able to transition. They want to actively harm them. They want to like prevent them from being able to use pronouns or go see a therapist. They want to fucking hurt them to the core. And they believe they have the right to do it. And you know this. And you're like, oh, I can live with that. I can live with that. But they're gutless, dude. They won't just come out and say it. That's what I don't like about MAGA. It's really what I don't like about MAGA. They're fucking pussies, bro. They are. They're chicken shit. Dude, he's still talking about Bernie, bro. Dude, the secondhand embarrassment I feel for this man is unreal, bro. You know what I mean? Like, dude, it's like, Cenk, bro, like, what are you gonna do, man? He's gonna be like 90 years old, Cenk is. Sitting on a couch somewhere, just like shouting, like, Bernie! Bernie! People are gonna be like, sir, are you hungry? Bernie! Dude! It's a fetish, bro. Like, at this point, I wonder if Cenk is like fucking tugging. Does he have a room with like Bernie photographs? He goes in there and just relieves himself. Dude, I mean, it's wild, bro. It is nutty.
Until Obama and Klyburn called in all the candidates.
He's right.
And said, you all have to bow to Joe Biden. And then mainstream media then said, Joe Biden is the greatest. And they started talking about how Bernie Sanders, the most successful Jewish candidate in American history, had followers who were brown shirts and fascists and Nazis. Where have you heard that before? So
ooh, look at that. Ooh, he just said, wow. He's like, dude, they treated my Bernie the way they treat you guys on the right wing. See, this is what bothers me, because he's legitimizing these guys. He's legitimizing them because these guys, Charlie Kirk and Turning Point Action, they have engaged in the weaponization of misinformation, disinformation campaigns, totally degenerate liars, straight up lies, lies upon lies upon lies, and right-wing billionaires funding their covert activities and shit, anti-trans, anti-people of color, racist, very anti-Semitic, very anti-women. And they've pumped a lot of content into young kids, trying to sort of divide and conquer them and turn young men against women and against LGBTQ people in really horrific and toxic ways, Charlie Kirk has. And Cenk is up here legitimizing these motherfuckers, bro. It's like having the KKK up here and you going up to them and saying, well, I gotta hand it to you. Like, the way you guys are stuck together is like really impressive. And it's like, no, you don't have to fucking hand it to them. Like, dude, this shit is just not okay, dude. And Hassan, if you can hear this somewhere, we get into your head, you need to like take a wet towel over to your uncle's house, bro. And you need to beat his ass with it, bro. He's up, dude.
All of a sudden, mainstream media says fascist, even if it's a Jewish candidate, right? So they use the same tricks. And you guys have been canceled. I've been canceled. They do the same thing to both of us.
You know, the irony is Cenk's trying to elevate himself. He's been canceled. Like, dude, Cenk actually did get canceled once, but he got canceled by Bernie in 2019. Dude. Bernie Sanders retracts Cenk Uygur endorsement after backlash. He got canceled by the dude he worships. Sanders had come under fire from supporters for backing someone who had made demeaning and controversial comments about women, Muslims, and African Americans. Dude, look at that. Dude, Sanders canceled him, bro. Dude, Cenk, you bro. You're such a goddamn liar, boss. You're blaming that shit on the mainstream media? Dude, this was when Cenk was running for Congress, right? And Bernie was going to support him. Senator Bernie Sanders pulled his endorsement for a California congressional candidate on Friday after coming under fire for supporting the online news personality who has made degrading comments about African American and women. Yeah, oh, that's funny. Maybe he does belong on the fucking Charlie Kirk stage. Oh, that's weird. Cenk is saying that women are flawed and they're not good enough birthing vessels. Yeah, that's real progressive there. Uygur also came under fire for using the N-word on his show multiple times. Oh, shit. All right, Cenk. Dude, he's like really out there stumping. He acknowledged this week that the Young Turks had a policy of using the N-word when quoting racists as a means of mocking them, but stopped after complaints. He thinks he's Quentin Tarantino up in here. So again, dude, this is what's funny. Dude, it's this revisionist history, though, because we just saw Cenk up there talking about Bernie Sanders. We saw Cenk up there talking about how pure Bernie is and all this shit. And then he's saying how he's been canceled, but it was actually Bernie who canceled him. To the YouTube supporters, I got to say thank you guys. Especially, we've had a bunch of new memberships. And to those of you getting memberships, that's a great way to support me. I do appreciate it.